Happy Pride Month. Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to a video in which I'm going to talk about what I'm going to read for Pride Month and an idea that I had for Pride Month related to things going on in the United States right now. You know, I'm sure you're all aware, even though there are numerous distractions and an outrage a day going on in the United States under the Trump regime, that one of the first groups targeted in the election of 2024 and still targeted by the Trump administration is the trans community and the rest of the LGBTQ plus community. We see that, you know, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, is renaming ships. A ship named after Harvey Milk, he's planning on renaming. And so really what's going on is that the LGBTQ plus members of our community are under attack by our government, by our society. And I think it's important that we do something at the very least to show our support for members of that community, many of whom we know and interact with and are friends with here on BookTube. And so the idea I had was that I would, as I do every month, spend June reading books by LGBTQ plus authors and talking about those books on my channel. But this year I decided to check them out from my local library. And I'm doing this for a reason. In Texas, the Texas government, which has gone, you know, full fascist, is essentially passed a new law giving greater control over censoring books to parents and community groups, taking away from professional librarians. And that is something that should worry us all inside Texas and outside of Texas. And one of the things I thought is that if I check these books out from the library, it would at least take away one excuse to remove these books from my local library. You know, oftentimes books are removed from libraries because people don't check them out. You know, there's a limited amount of space there, and libraries hold library book sales all the time for books that are worn out or that aren't being checked out, and in other ways to raise money. And I thought, if, you know, I check these books out from the library, that would be someone in my community who is essentially showing an interest in works by LGBTQ plus authors. I'm sure I'm not alone, and I have no idea how much difference this makes. I know one of the things that frustrates me, and I'm sure frustrates many of you who are opposed to the authoritarian tactics and the stripping away of rights and dignity from people within American society. One of the things that frustrates me is not knowing what to do, and not knowing if what I choose to do makes a difference. And so I can tell you honestly, I don't know if what I'm choosing to do here will make any difference at all. But I do want to show my support particularly at this time, for members of the LGBTQ plus community, and hopefully show in some way that there's an interest in books by LGBTQ plus writers and authors in my area, which is an incredibly conservative area. And one of the things that I was really pleased by was that I was able to find, you know, 2 books by non-binary authors on the shelves of my local library, 1 book by trans author, and, you know, obviously there are books by gay men and lesbians on the shelves of my library. But I was really pleased to find these books were there and still available. It gives me faith. It renews my faith, I guess, in the librarians who work in my local community, that despite its deep red nature are still there trying to serve their community and all members of their community. So, you know, in some ways I hope this is support for that. So I've chosen 4 books to read, at least at this point, for Pride Month. The first is The Deep by River Solomon. River Solomon is the author of An Unkindness of Ghosts, which I think I read last year, which I really enjoyed, and so I thought I would read this book as well. And so I'm just going to read the inside flap cover to you, just to give you some idea what the book is about. Her people, the Wainru, water-dwelling descendants of the pregnant African slave women thrown overboard by slavers, live idyllic lives in the deep. Their past, too traumatic to be remembered regularly, is forgotten by everyone save one, save the historian. Yet who remembers for all the Wainru, and the memories, painful and wonderful and traumatic and terrible and miraculous, are destroying her. And so she flees to the surface, escaping the memories and the expectations and the responsibilities, and discovers a world the winery left behind long ago. Yetu will learn more than she ever expected to about her own past and about the future of her people. If they are all to survive, they'll need to reclaim the memories, reclaim their identities, and own who they really are. So that book sounds really interesting to me. It's a fairly short book, and it kind of promises to be really powerful. I also checked out Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. This is a slightly longer book. And Aoki is an author who I really hadn't heard of before. I did some research in my library, and I found this one. So this says, Shizuka Satomi made a deal with the devil to escape damnation. She must entice 7 other violin prodigies to trade their souls for success. She has already delivered 6. When Katrina and Wynn, a young transgender runaway, catches Shizuki's ear with her wild talent, Shizuka can almost feel the curse lifting. She's found her final candidate, but in a donut shop off a bustling highway in the San Gabriel Valley, Shizuka meets Lantran, a retired starship captain, interstellar refugee, and mother of 4. Shizuka doesn't have time for crushes or coffee dates with with her very soul on the line, but Lan's kind smile and eyes like stars might just redefine a soul's worth. And maybe something as small as a warm donut is powerful enough to break a curse as vast as the California coastline. That sounds pretty charming to me, and I'm looking forward to getting to it. I'm also going to read what will be, I think, my 4th book by Akwaeke Emezi, and that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. The front flap says, Feya Adekola wants to learn how to be alive again. It's been 5 years since the accident that killed the love of her life, and she's almost a new person now. An artist with her own studio, sharing a brownstone apartment with her ride-or-die best friend Joy, who insists it's time for Feyi to ease back into the dating scene. Feyi isn't ready for anything serious, but a steamy encounter at a rooftop party cascades into a whirlwind summer she could never have imagined. A luxury trip to a tropical island, decadent meals in a glamorous home of a celebrity chef, and a major curator who wants to launch her art career. She's even started dating the perfect guy, but their new relationship might be sabotaged before it has a chance by the overwhelming desire Feyi feels every time she locks eyes with the one person who is most definitely off limits, his father. This new life she has asked for got a lot more complicated, and Feyi must begin her search for real answers. Who is she ready to become? Can she release her past and honor her grief while still embracing her future? And of course, there's the biggest question of them all. How far is she willing to go for a second chance at love? That sounds really interesting. It sounds awfully like a romance novel with a little bit more edge than the average one, but I'm looking forward to that. And then I saw Eric Carl Anderson's tribute to the American author Edmund White on his channel. I'd never read a novel by White. I looked and I saw that my library had 2. I'd intended to check out A Saint from Texas because being from Texas, that seemed more appropriate, but they didn't have that one, so instead I checked out A Previous Life by Edmund White, and this is what the inside flap says. Sicilian aristocrat and musician Ruggiero and his young American wife Constance agree to write their confessions. Until now, they had a ban on speaking about the past since transparency wrecked their previous marriages. As the 2 alternate reading their memoirs, Constance reveals her marriages to older men, and Ruggiero details the affairs he's had with men and women, including his passionate affair with the author Edmund White. As in his previous works, White's novel pushes for a broader understanding of sexual orientation and pairs humor and truth in a searing, scintillating take on physical beauty and its inevitable decline. But in this experimental new novel, one where the author has laid himself bare as a secondary character, White explores the themes of love and age through numerous eyes, hearts, and minds. Delightful and irreverent, A Previous Life proves once more why White is a master of American literature. That sounds really good and interesting and a little bit experimental, maybe a little bit different, and so I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, there you go. There is my, TBR for Pride Month, my Pride Reading Month. I'm not trying to guilt anybody into doing anything that they're not comfortable doing, but if you can, maybe use your channel, maybe use your social media platform to show support for members of the LGBTQ plus community here on BookTube and for your local libraries wherever you live. Anyway, I look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.